Hey folks, Reloading Bench back with you once again. As promised, I'm finally getting around to doing a quick / short video on the Lee bench primer. And I actually picked this up before I picked up the Frankfurt Arsenal hand primer. And there are enough videos on how this functions that I'm not going to spend that much time. I'll just talk about some of the points of what I did, and most notably just to mount it so that I could use it with my T-track or T-slot system on the bench. And I was debating, because a lot of times when I mount stuff, I'll cut the bolts so that they don't protrude, but somebody gave me an idea that I was talking to, like, I'll just cover it with a vinyl cover, and that actually worked out pretty good, and it looks very Lee-esque, I would say, in terms of the red. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, again, just most notably on how easy it is to work on the bench. I will pop my cover here and install this on the bench. Let's see where it is in frame. That's about pretty good. Alright, that's not going anywhere. One of the comments I've seen, in fact, I waited long enough to purchase this. I was in no hurry. Knew I'd pick it up at some point. Plus, I was also interested in trying out the new triangular trays. I actually like the round trays, so I thought, let's see what these were like. But a couple of things I noticed were on the back of this particular primer housing, there's no spring, and the earlier model had a spring, so I don't know if I'm guessing this is a revision. And there's also a rubber O-ring here. I've heard mention of people removing that. I've heard mention that it wasn't in the original, so I don't know which version is true. Don't really care, but for my purposes, everything seems to work okay. If I can reseat that shell holder. So I don't see the spring. Didn't come with mine. I've seen other videos where some people have them, some people don't. So I think the spring, and you can tell everything's here to hold or house the spring. It's just not there. It didn't come with my kit. And again, I've heard Lee say either pull this rubber O-ring off if you're experiencing issues with primer. Seating issues in terms of maybe I've heard that you're supposed to come all the way up with this thing, and when you do come all the way up to clear your primer seat, this rubber O-ring can get in the way, so removing that allows you to lift the handle even more. So with that, I'm going to shut up, load a few, see how easily it loads. Again, the purpose of this was not as much to discuss loading as much as it was, or rather priming as much as it was what I've done on my bench. Alright, those are all together. I'll lock that. Oh, okay, so that's interesting. That said it was on lock, not on, and all my primers just went for a little spin. That was interesting. Alright, let's take two on that. I think we got a couple of errant floaters on the bench. Alright, they're turned up correctly. I thought I had this set to lock. Okay, apparently maybe I was off by a smidgen. So what I did notice is got a couple primers that are kind of stuck here in the corners. So maybe I'm not liking the new tray as much as I thought I would. All right, so I'm going to pop it to on. Yeah, I don't know how much I like that in terms of this little on, off, open, or rather on, lock, open. I'll shut up now, and I can see that there is a primer, and I had to flip this a little up against the O-ring to get that primer, first primer in there. I've played with this a little before, and the only reason this would not prime is because of crimp issues. Seems to prime. Doesn't take a lot of pressure. I've seen people use the Lee Ergo primes and they're really clamping down on that thumb. I'm using the equivalent of a finger to prime, and it seems to be seating. I'm not going to measure these. I spent some time discussing, and we got a little burr there. Spent some time discussing the Frankfurt Arsenal hand primer. Okay, this does not want to feed. A troublesome piece of brass. I'll take a look at that later. Again, maybe a crimp issue. So I'm not having a whole lot of success with some of these pieces of brass because of either burrs or whatever. And it does prime. So that shell holder's in there, and you can see the piece of you can see the primer. I'll pop that back in the channel. So it's a piece of cake, and it looks like that was all the primers I had for tonight. So quick and easy. It is clear. I'm not sure how I like these tray cases yet, these primer cases yet. I was a fan actually of the old round version, so maybe this is just something to get used to. But that's kind of it. It works like it's supposed to. It's a relatively easy tool, bench tool, very inexpensive. I like the fact that it affords me yet another method of priming off press and on bench, so that I can do things a little bit differently. So putting this next to the hand primer in terms of just different ways of doing similar things. That's it for now. Take care.